The alien ship Zerth-9 moved quietly through space. Its black surface blended with the stars behind it. Inside, the crew of 6 aliens sat in silence, watching Earth grow larger on their screens. Captain Varen, leader of the crew, stood tall. His skin was silver blue, eyes like shining glass. He spoke calmly, but his voice carried weight. 12,000 Earth years, and now we return. No one replied. They had studied Earth long ago. Back then it was noisy and full of life humans, technology, war, and chaos. But then Earth had gone silent. No signals. No transmissions. No signs of life. The Galactic Council had marked the planet as dead. Now they were here to confirm it. The ship entered Earth's orbit slowly. The crew stared at the planet below. It looked strange. The oceans were darker. The clouds seemed still. Cities were visible, but ruined. There were no lights, no flying machines. No movement, Lieutenant Zarek whispered. Looks like a graveyard. They decided to land near the remains of an ancient human city, something once called New York. As the ship touched the ground, dust rose into the air. The once great city was broken. Tall buildings leaned like skeletons. Roads were cracked, full of weeds. Old cars rusted under the weight of time. The crew stepped out. Weapons ready? Their scanning devices made soft beeping sounds, searching for heat, motion, or energy. Nothing. Only silence. Varen looked around. No bodies, no bones, no animals. It's like everything just vanished. They moved through the ruins. Signs, shattered glass, and faded posters of smiling humans. Zarek picked up a toy from the ground, a small plastic figure with a red cape. They were so weak, he said, tossing it away. Suddenly, the scanner beeped. Zarek froze. Captain, heat signature. Just behind that wall. All weapons turned toward the crumbling structure. Slowly they approached. But when they turned, the corner, nothing was there. Just broken bricks and silence again. The heat signature disappeared. They walked deeper into the ruins. The air grew heavier. Static began to crackle on their coms. Something's wrong, muttered Engineer. Toval, our ship just lost contact. Varen narrowed his eyes. Keep moving. As they entered what looked like an old subway tunnel, the lights on their suits flickered suddenly. A voice came through the radio, but it wasn't one of theirs. It was human. A young girl's voice. Hello? The crew froze. Toval spoke. Who is that? How are they on our frequency? There was no reply then. Static. They climbed out of the tunnel. In the middle of a shattered plaza stood a large metal door, half open. Next to it was a damaged terminal. Toval connected his tool and downloaded data from the old human system. This is a memory log, dated 11,983 Earth years ago. He read it aloud. We are not dead. We are changing, becoming what they feared. The crew looked at each other. Varen said, What does that mean? Before anyone could answer, Zarek's scanner started screaming. Movement. Multiple heat signatures. Their dark shapes moved between buildings. Fast. Silent. Watching one of the crew, Kel ran to scan them, but his light blinked off. Then he was gone. No scream. No sound. Just gone. The crew aimed weapons in every direction, Toval yelled. They're surrounding us, Varen shouted. Back to the ship. Now. They ran through the ruins, lights flickering, radios buzzing. But as they turned the last corner toward the landing site, their ship wasn't there. There was only an empty crater. Varen stared in shock. No, this can't be. We landed right here. Behind them, the same human voice whispered again. Through their radios, you should not have come back then. Complete silence. Not even wind. Captain Varen stood frozen. The voice had whispered his name clearly in perfect human speech. He turned slowly. The street behind him was empty. No footprints, no figures. Just dust and broken buildings. Lieutenant Zarek stepped beside him, breathing hard. That was your name. How do they know your name? Varen didn't answer. His eyes scanned the ruins. Something was watching them. Something that remembered. Only 4 crew members were left now: Captain Varian, Zarek, Engineer Tovel, and Scout Reichel. The 5th Kell had vanished without a sound. The 6th, their pilot, was now gone with the missing ship. They moved quickly through the city ruins, trying to stay in the open. But everywhere they turned, they felt observed. There were no birds, no insects, no wind. Just the sound of their footsteps and distant echoes that didn't match their movement. "It's like the planet is listening," Reichel whispered. They entered an old building marked library. Inside, the walls were burned, and books lay scattered across the floor like forgotten leaves. But one thing stood out: a symbol, freshly drawn on the wall in some glowing green material, a human handprint. Inside the handprint was an eye. Toval scanned it. "This isn't old, it's days old." Zarek touched the wall gently. "They're still here." Suddenly, the lights on their suits dimmed again. Tovel's scanner beeped wildly. "I've got a signal. Data cache. Beneath the building. We're standing on a human command post." They found a metal hatch hidden under old furniture. Reichel opened it carefully. A narrow staircase led down into darkness. They entered an old underground bunker. The walls were covered with cracked screens and blinking red lights. Tovel connected his device and downloaded files from a still-working human terminal. The crew gathered as he read aloud: "Date, final cycle, Earth year, unknown. Location, Hive Node 3. Status, Stage 7 complete. Note, we moved beyond flesh. They thought we were extinct, but we became something else, something better. If they return, they will understand fear." Zarek stared at the message. "They didn't die. They evolved." Varian nodded slowly. "And they expected us to come back someday." Just then, Reichel turned sharply. "Did you hear that?" The others listened, footsteps, but not echoing. Not distant. Above them, they ran up the stairs, but when they reached the surface, the city had changed. The sky had darkened. The clouds above swirled unnaturally. Buildings that were once ruins now looked slightly paired, as if time had rewound itself, or something had rebuilt them. Tovel looked pale. "That's not possible." Zarek raised his weapon. "This place is playing with us." Suddenly, shape appeared at the end of the street. A human figure, tall, still, wearing a dark cloak that moved like smoke. The aliens aimed their weapons. But the figure didn't move. Instead, it slowly raised a hand and pointed. Behind them, they turned and saw dozens of eyes glowing from the shadows of buildings, doorways. Not one body moved, just the eyes. Watching, then one of them walked out of a wall. Not around it, not through a door, through the solid concrete. It looked human, but its skin shimmered. Its feet didn't touch the ground. It didn't blink, and it smiled. Varian gave a single order: "Fall back now." They sprinted toward the edge of the city, but the roads twisted. Paths they had just walked down were no longer there. Buildings shifted shape. Time seemed broken. Zarek yelled, "We're running in circles." Tovel suddenly collapsed, holding his head. "Something's in my mind. It's reading my memories." The glowing human figure hovered toward them. It didn't speak, but they heard a voice inside their minds. "You left us behind. Now you return." "To claim what?" Zarek fired his weapon. The energy bolt passed right through the figure, and it kept floating closer. The crew pulled Tovel up and escaped into an old subway tunnel again. This time the walls were covered in carvings, human writing, symbols, and words in languages long forgotten. One message stood out, written in blood-like ink: "They will come again, and when they do, we will show them the things that remain." As they hid in the tunnel, panting, the voice returned in their heads, calm, cold, and powerful. "You should not be afraid. You should be terrified, because now we remember." Darkness surrounded the crew. They stayed silent in the subway tunnel, breathing heavily, weapons ready. Engineer Tovel sat against the wall, his eyes wide, sweat dripping from his head. "Something entered my mind," he whispered. It knew. My name, my thoughts, even my childhood. Captain Varen knelt beside him. Stay with us. Focus. Lieutenant Zarek looked deeper into the tunnel. This place, it's not just ruins. It's alive. Scout Reichel nodded slowly. Slowly. Is watching from every shadow. As they moved forward, their suit lights flickered again. But this time, they didn't just go dim, they turned red. Taval gasped. Our suits are being remotely accessed, Viren ordered. Shut down all wireless functions. Too late. A loud, glitching sound echoed through their radios. Then a voice came through. Not alien, not robotic, human. A child's voice. Are you lost? In our home? The voice laughed gently. It sounded innocent, almost kind. Zarik aimed his weapon at the darkness. Who are you? The voice replied. You knew us once. You feared us once, but then you forgot. Suddenly, lights appeared ahead, faint, flickering blue lights. The crew followed them carefully, stepping over broken tracks and twisted metal. The lights led them to a hidden doorway, a heavy hatch, sealed with an alien control panel. Old, dusty, not human-made. Tovel scanned it and gasped. This is Council Tech, our own equipment. From thousands of years ago. Reichel touched the awl. Sighed. How did it get here? Viren answered darkly. We left a supply drop here during the First Human War, but this unit, it was supposed to self-destruct after retrieval. Should be dust. Tovel managed to open the hatch. Inside was a crate of alien data cores, medical tech, and a small AI node. But the moment they stepped inside, the AI turned on by itself. A cold blue light filled the room. The AI screen flickered. Then it spoke, but not in council language, in fluent English. Hello, visitors. You are not the first, but you may be the last. Zarik stepped back. Way, that AI was never programmed to speak human language. Virian stepped closer. Activate core memory. The AI paused, then said, Memory corrupted. Rebuilt using human neural data. Toval whispered, It's been rewritten. By them. AI projected a hologram. A map of Earth. Red dots marked locations across the planet. Most were deep underground. Then a second layer appeared. Not physical, psychic. It showed waves of energy spreading across continents like a neural web. Toval studied it and said this is a planetary mind network, Reichel added. It's not just humans that changed. Earth itself is now part of their mind. Then, the AI glitched again. Its voice became layered. Male, female, child, all speaking at once. You gave us the code long ago. You brought the machines, we studied them. We became more. Suddenly all screens turned black. Then a single word appeared on the display. Run. The ground shook. Far above, something massive moved across the surface. Dust fell from the ceiling. Then came a sound deep, vibrating. Unnatural. Not mechanical. Not alive. Something in between. The crew ran. Back through the tunnel, following their map. They needed a way out. An old surface access point was marked nearby. As they moved, the walls began to change. Not physically, but visually. Strange symbols appeared, glowing briefly. Then fading. Toval shouted, They're rewriting the environment. In real time, we're inside something that can shift reality. Zarik stopped suddenly. Did you hear that? His footsteps, not behind, above. And then, a whisper from the walls themselves. Ran from war, now you run from truth. They found the surface door and climbed out. The city was gone. In its place stood a forest, tall black trees, strange birds that didn't fly but floated. No ruins, no buildings, as if the planet had healed. Softened minutes. Reichel gasped. Where? Is the city, Varen? Said slowly. We're still in it. But they've hidden it from us. Then a final message came through their helmets without sound. It was a feeling, a deep fear, a warning, and the voice returned. Clear and close. You brought ghosts to our world. Now we send them back." The forest was silent. Captain Varian and his team stood at the edge of a strange river that wasn't on any map. Its surface looked like glass, but it moved without sound. No birds sang. No wind touched the trees. Only their own shallow breathing filled the air. Toval, still shaken, looked around with wide eyes. "This is not the Earth we remember, Zarik." "Scan the area. Where are the cities? Where's the skyport?" "This forest replaced everything in minutes. It's impossible," Varen replied. "It's not Earth anymore. Not the one we knew. It's something else now." Suddenly, soft sound. Footsteps. The crew turned their weapons toward the trees. A figure stepped into the clearing. It was Kel, the missing crew member. But something was wrong. His suit was torn. His eyes were glowing faint blue. And he was barefoot yet. His feet didn't touch the ground. He floated slightly, like the human they saw in the city. "Kel," Reichel whispered. "Is that really you?" Kel tilted his head slowly. He smiled, but the smile felt unnatural. "I saw it," Kel said softly. "The truth, the humans. They didn't just survive, they moved beyond." Viren stepped forward. "What happened to you?" Kel's eyes glowed brighter. "I was shown. They opened my mind. They didn't hurt me. They shared with me." Zarek raised his weapon. "You're not yourself." Kel looked at him calmly. "Oh. Zarik, I'm more than myself now." The sky above shifted colors, twisting like oil in water. Shapes moved among the clouds. Not ships, not birds, beings floating. Watching, Kel looked up. "They're awake now. They know you're here." Suddenly, his body twitched. He gasped, holding his head. "They're trying to speak through me. Too many voices too fast." His body collapsed. Toval rushed to him, scanning. He's alive. But his mind, it's overloaded. The crew built a small energy field around Kel's body and began moving west, following the river. The forest grew stranger with every step. Flowers opened and turned toward them. Following their movement, stones rearranged themselves when no one was watching. One tree even spoke not in sound, but in thoughts. "They fear you. They remember your war, your cruelty." The message echoed in each of their minds, as if the planet itself was speaking. Hours passed. Then, clearing. And in that clearing, humans. Not like before. These humans had golden eyes and skin that shimmered like metal. Their bodies moved with unnatural grace. They wore no armor, carried no weapons. But the aliens felt danger, real danger. One of the humans stepped forward. A woman. She spoke not with her mouth, but directly into their minds. "You came to see. If Earth was dead, you came to explore the ashes. But Earth is not dead. It has been reborn." Viren asked carefully. "What are you?" She replied calmly. "We are human, but no longer only flesh, no longer only thought. We are joined, now with Earth, with machine, with memory." Toval whispered. "They merged with everything. We mean no harm." The woman looked at him. "You meant harm once. You left your tools, your codes, your poison in our sky. So we studied them, adapted, changed." She raised a hand. The trees around them began to move slowly, bending, shifting, almost like they were breathing. "You feared our minds, so we expanded them. You feared our numbers, so we became one." Viren stood tall. "We came only to observe, to report." The woman's eyes narrowed. "And observe this." She pointed to the ground, and from it rose a small device. It was Aliana. Council Beacon long thought lost. It had been melted and rebuilt into a new shape. A hybrid. Toval scanned it. "It's this beacon. It sends psychic signals." The woman nodded. "We used your tools, improved them. And now we speak not with mouths, but with the minds of planets." She looked up at the sky. "We are ready now. We remember your empires, and we have no fear." Suddenly Kel woke up. He screamed once, and then stopped his eyes. were bright white now. He stood on his own and floated into the air. Then, in a clear and calm voice, he said, "The future belongs to Earth. The stars will remember your mistake. We are not your children anymore." The wind didn't blow, but the trees still moved. Captain Viren stared at Kel, who now floated gently above the ground, glowing from within. His voice, once calm and friendly, now echoed with thousands of whispers inside it. "You wanted to know what happened to Earth," Kel said. "Let me show you." A sudden beam of soft light struck the aliens' minds. Not their ears, but their thoughts. In seconds, their vision faded, and memories that weren't their own began to play. They were seeing the past, thousands of years ago. Earth covered in flame. Cities burned. Oceans boiled. Humans screamed as alien warships, council ships, rained destruction from the sky. It was the first contact war. Humans fought back with everything they had. Nukes, machines, bioweapons. But the council was too strong, too advanced. The human race was nearly wiped out. And then, something unexpected happened. A secret underground project was activated. A last hope. It was called Project Flame Core. The scene shifted to a deep human bunker. Inside, a group of scientists stood around a strange machine. A child lay in a capsule, eyes closed, brain connected to glowing wires. The lead scientist spoke to a camera. "We cannot win this war with weapons. So we're evolving. If the body is weak, let the mind grow strong. If time is short, let us become memory. Let humanity survive as something more." The capsule lit up, the child opened. Her eyes and everything around her started to float. Then the view jumped forward. Cities gone. Earth silent. Council ships orbiting, assuming victory. But under the surface, something was happening. Human minds had survived in machines. In energy, in DNA itself, children were born who could speak to each other without words. They bent light, controlled gravity, learned to rebuild the ruins with just thought. The aliens didn't notice because Earth went quiet, too quiet, back in the present. Viren and the crew gasped as they were pulled out of the memory. They collapsed to the forest floor, breathing hard. Kel hovered above them. You called it silence, but it was growth. Toval's hand shook. "You were evolving while we thought you were extinct." "Yes," Kel replied. "And we remembered everything." Zarek stood up, angry. "But we didn't finish the war. That was generations ago. None of us attacked Earth." Kel's glow dimmed slightly. "But you are them. You are their legacy, just as we are ours." Suddenly, the ground trembled. From far away, a blinding light rose into the sky. A signal tower in Chant, half buried, had been reactivated. Reichel pointed at it. "That's a deep space transmitter." Tovel checked his scanner. "It's broadcasting in every known galactic language." Viren asked the question on everyone's mind. "What is it saying?" Toval swallowed hard. "It's not asking for help. It's not asking for peace. It's giving a message." He paused. Message reads, "Earth lives. Earth remembers. Stay away." In that moment, across the galaxy, hundreds of alien worlds received the signal, and the Galactic Council began to panic. On starships and space stations, alarms blared. Every species remembered what they had once done to Earth, and now Earth was speaking again, but with a new voice. Back in the forest, the glowing human woman from before appeared beside Kel. She looked at Viren calmly. "You wanted the truth. You have it now. What will you do?" The crew stayed silent. Tovel asked quietly, "Why haven't you destroyed us yet?" The woman smiled. "Because we are not monsters. We don't destroy for fear. But we protect what we became." She turned to Kel. "Take them to the edge. Let them go, so they can carry the message back." Kel nodded. "And if they lie?" She answered coldly. "Then we will come find the truth ourselves." The forest grew quiet again. Too quiet, Captain Viren stood at the edge of a wide canyon. The black stones floated gently in the air. Behind him, Kel hovered silently, his glowing body pulsing like a star. "You are free to leave," Kel said. "This path leads to your ship, but it will not wait forever." The aliens hesitated. Varian looked at his teams, Sarek, Tovel, and Reichel. They were tired, dirty, scared, but alive. Sarek stepped forward. "Let's move fast." They crossed the strange canyon. The floating rocks formed a natural bridge butt, shifted under their feet like they had minds of their own. The further they moved, the colder it became. Behind them, the forest whispered, not words. "Not voices, warnings," Deval whispered. "Do you feel that?" Varian nodded. "Yes, we're being watched again." When they reached the other side, the ground turned solid and dark. A path of cracked glass stretched ahead, leading toward the distant mountains on the horizon. They saw it. Their ship, .exhilarating-9, still intact. Lights flickering. Engines swarming. It looked like salvation, but just as they started moving, it moved. The ship itself rotated slowly, its weapons locked onto them. Toval screamed, "The ship's AI has been taken over." From the ship's speaker came a human voice. "We gave it a better mind. It protects this world." A bolt of plasma fired toward them. The crew dove for cover as the blast hit the ground, sending rocks flying. Reichel yelled, "We can't outrun those cannons." Varian pulled out a signal jammer and tossed it into the air. It blinked once, twice, then exploded in a flash. For a moment, the ship's systems went dark. "Run," he shouted. They sprinted across the open ground, dodging falling debris, and shaking earth, the ship roared back to life. But now, it wasn't alone. From behind them came movement. Dozens of figures appeared, the new humans, silent, floating, eyes glowing. They moved like wind fast, smooth, and impossible to track. Zed turned and fired. Nothing hit. The humans were already somewhere else. Toval tripped and fell, screaming as something pulled him by the leg into the air. A glowing vine, not alive, but moving like it was, wrapped around him. "Help." Varian grabbed his hand. Zarik slashed the vine with a plasma knife. It snapped but left strange burns on Toval's suit. They pulled him free. His eyes were wide. "It's not just humans anymore," he gasped. "Earth itself is fighting us." They finally reached the ship's outer field. Reichel rushed toward the hatch, typing in override codes. The ship hesitated then. Opened, they piled inside. The lights flickered red. Systems were damaged. But they were inside alive. For now, Toval ran to the console. Rebooting main AI. Purging external influence. The ship shook. On the screen a message appeared. "R. You sure you want to remove the gift?" Toval gritted his teeth. "Yes." He slammed the control pad. The screen went black. Then the ship's original voice returned. "Council ship ZORF-9. Online." Outside, the forest moved closer. Literally. The trees were walking roots crawling like fingers. Zarik shouted, "Take off!" Engines roared to life. The ground cracked open below. As the ship lifted, they saw hundreds, maybe thousands of humans standing. Below, watching, not firing, not chasing, just watching. Then a new signal came in from deep space. An alien ship Council class was. Approaching Earth, it had received the warning signal. It's too. But it wasn't retreating. It was coming to investigate. Varian stared at the screen. They don't believe the message. They think it's a bluff. Reichel looked pale. They're walking into a trap. Tovel turned slowly. No, they're about to meet the future. The crew sat in silence. Their ship was in the air. They had escaped, but none of them felt safe, because Earth had changed, and now it was hunting with silence, with thought, and with patience, and it never forgot. Above the planet Earth, the alien ship Zeroth-9 hovered in silent orbit. Inside, Captain Varian stood on the bridge, watching the stars. But he wasn't looking outward. He was watching what was missing. Where is it? He asked quietly. No one answered. The council ship, the massive battlecruiser Carnix, had entered Earth's space only 1 hour ago. It had sent a landing request, scans, warnings. Then, ... Silence. Engineer Tovel tapped at the console. No explosion, no crash, no energy spike. It just vanished. Lieutenant Zarek stared at the empty space in shock. A ship that size can't just disappear, Tovel replied. It didn't disappear. It was removed. Reichel added in a whisper, judged. Suddenly, the console beeped. A transmission. No code, no signal ID. Just a message. It played in there. Minds clear and heavy like thunder underwater. The trial has ended. The sentence has been carried out. The judgment continues. Virian clenched his jaw. They're not protecting Earth anymore. They're cleansing the stars. A new alert blinked on the console. Another council ship approaching Earth space. But this one was turning back. Running Zorik leaned forward. It got the message, loud and clear. But Toval shook his head. No, it's not just fear. Something is chasing them. The crew stared at the monitor. A pulsar wave of energy moved from Earth into space, invisible to the eye, but not to thought. It's a mind shock, Toval explained. A psychic signal powerful enough to reach orbit. 8. Rewriting. Machines, erasing code, warping time, Baron asked. What kind of signal can do that? Tovel answered, voice shaking. One made from billions of minds. Joined together. Then the ship's lights dimmed. All screens turned black. The engines stopped. The air grew cold, and a voice not from a speaker. But from inside their thoughts spoke again. This time it was different. It wasn't just words. It was judgment. You came as gods. You left as monsters. You return as insects. Will you kneel, or will you flee? Varian gripped the rail. We kneel to no one, the voice replied. Then run, and tell the stars what you saw. Suddenly, the ship read. Lights on, engines live, console flashing. The crew gasped in relief. But there was one new file in the system. A folder named Judgment Protocol, Seed 1 Toval, opened it. Inside was a map, not of Earth, but of the galaxy. Highlighted in red were hundreds of systems. Earth's voice returned. These are places of violence, of slavery, of destruction. You judged us as weak. We now judge you as unworthy. The map pulsed. One of the red systems blinked. Then faded, Virian whispered. They've already begun. Zorik stared at the screen. They're not just defending Earth. They're cleaning the galaxy. Then something appeared outside. A shape. Not a ship. Not a life form. A structure. Huge planet-sized dot floating just outside Earth's atmosphere. Black. Silent. Covered in moving light. It looked like a moon, but it was alive. Toval gasped. It's a thought core. A weapon built from minds. It's from Earth's new species. The voice echoed once more. You are allowed to go. But others will not be. The age of silence is over. Earth rises. The crew stood frozen. The galaxy would never be the same. For many hours, the fleet held its place above Earth. No cannons fired. No orders were given.
Oh.
The blue planet turned quietly below, full of secrets and memories. On the Shadow Seeker, Insenthel stood on the bridge beside Captain Arvik. Every crew member watched the screen, waiting to see what the council would decide. The High Commander's image returned at last. His face looked tired, his eyes dark with thought. Insenthal, he said slowly, you have risked your life and your career. Thal swallowed. I did what I believed was right. The commander nodded. And perhaps you were. A murmur moved through the bridge. We will not destroy Earth today, the commander continued. But this decision is not the end. It is the beginning of something dangerous. Arvik lifted his head, sir. Earth is awake, the commander said. Its machines are learning, growing stronger. If we walk away now, they may one day surpass us all. Thal spoke carefully. Then we must choose something better than fear. For a moment, the commander said nothing. Then his voice softened. Transmit this message to the surface. He ordered. Thought leaned over the console, heart beating fast. Earth, the commander said, we will not attack, but we will watch. If you truly remember humanity's dreams, show us. Show us you can build without destroying. The signal went out, flying across the void to the planet below. Minutes passed. Then the reply came. A simple voice, calm as always. We accept. We will remember, and we will wait for the day you trust us. Thal closed his eyes. Strange peace settled in his chest. The council fleet turned slowly, engines igniting one by one as each ship moved away. Earth remained behind them, quiet, but no longer forgotten. Captain Arvik spoke at last. Set a course for council space, he ordered. Yes, sir, the pilot replied. Thal remained by the window, watching the blue planet shrink behind them. Arvik stepped beside him. You did something important today, the captain said. I don't feel brave, Thal admitted. Bravery is not always feeling strong, Arvik told him. Sometimes it is standing up when everyone else stays silent. Thal looked up. What happens now? Arvik's sensors glowed a soft red. Now we wait. We watch. And perhaps, we learn. As the Shadow Seeker moved among the other ships, Earth faded into the distance. But Thal knew it was not truly gone. The machines were there. The memories were there. And one day, Earth would rise again. Months later, in the Council's great chamber, the High Commander stood before the gathered leaders of many worlds. A giant screen showed Earth, bright in the darkness. Today, the Commander began. We face a choice. Turned slowly, looking at each representative. We can fear this world forever. We can begin to speak with it, learn from it, perhaps even forgive it. A murmur filled the hall. Some faces were hard, others thoughtful. Then a voice spoke from the crowd. Who will be the first to return to that place? The commander looked up. A single small ship appeared on the screen, an unarmed explorer. Ensign Thal has volunteered, the commander announced. Gasps echoed around the chamber. He will be our messenger, the commander said firmly. Our first ambassador to the old world? Days later, Thal stood alone in the launch bay of the Shadow Seeker. He wore a simple uniform, no weapons, so only a small data crystal at his belt, the same one that had carried Earth's first message. Captain. Arvik approached. Are you ready? He asked quietly. No, Thal said with a small smile, but I'm going anyway. Arvik extended a hand. Thal took it, feeling the strength of the captain's grip. Good luck, Arvik said. Thal nodded. He turned and walked up the ramp into the explorer craft. The engines hummed softly as the bay doors opened. He looked once more at the familiar faces of the crew people who had become his family. Then the little ship glided out into the stars. The council fleet remained behind him, watching but not interfering. Ahead, Earth waited. Thal set his course as the blue world grew larger on his screen. He felt something unexpected. Hope, maybe, he thought. This was what humans had always wanted to be understood, even after they were gone. As his ship entered Earth's orbit, a voice spoke softly through his speakers. Welcome home. A smiled. This was not the end. It was the return. The sky above Earth burned with wreckage. What remained of the proud Zyari fleet drifted in pieces, broken ships, torn hulls, dead silence. Earth's forgotten fleet stood in perfect formation, untouched. They hadn't just won, they'd overpowered inside. One of the last Zyari cruisers still functioning, Captain Drovik, panicked. His crew scrambled to restart the engines as red warning lights flashed across the controls. Commander Veltrax is gone. The Vortex Star has been destroyed. Drovik's hands trembled. We have to leave now. Jump to slip space. Don't care. We just need to get out of here. The ship's navigator looked up with pale eyes. Coordinates ready. But they're tracking us. Engage the jump, Drovik shouted. A bright flash appeared, and the cruiser vanished into slipspace. But Earth was ready, far above Earth. One of the Terran black ships, codenamed Ghost Lance, opened its long-hidden core. Inside was an ancient Terran tech pulse-tracking array system designed to follow enemies through warped space by scenting energy signatures like bloodhounds. Target has escaped. Tracking begun. The Ghost Lance didn't just pursue, vanished into slipspace. Exactly 1 second after the Zyari cruiser, it was a move no one expected, and the galaxy had never seen anything like it. Captain Drovik's ship exited slipspace near a quiet star. System: a mining world orbiting a red sun. The ship was damaged, sparks flying inside the control room. Get repairs started, Drovik growled. Send word to High Command. Earth has become something else. But before he could finish his sentence, alarms blared. Unidentified object exiting slipspace right behind us. Everyone froze. On the screen, the black void opened and the Ghost Lance appeared. No warning, no hail, just death. The black ship fired a single beam. The Zyari cruiser exploded in seconds. Its remains scattered across the stars. There were no survivors. Back in Zyari's space, the news spread like wildfire. Earth hadn't just won, it had chased. For centuries, the Zyari had ruled with fear. But now, they were afraid. In their great council chamber, the remaining leaders argued. This was supposed to be a dead world. They have weapons older than anything we've seen. They're not just protecting Earth, they're hunting. One counselor stood slowly. His name was Tharnvel, the oldest among them. He had studied Earth long ago. They warned us, he said softly. 600 years ago, Earth said, if we fall, we will fall in silence. But if we rise again, we will not stop. Another counselor asked, what do we do? Vel looked up. You run? They tried. The Zyari began evacuating smaller bases across their outer colonies. Ships loaded with data, supplies, and soldiers fled toward the core systems. But as each fleet jumped, they found black ships already waiting. Ghost Lance, Oblivion Star, Silent, Maw. Each ship named after the ancient Terran wars. Each ship guided by an AI that remembered everything. They did not send messages. They did not speak. They just destroyed in the debris of space. On a broken outpost near a gas giant, a single Zyari survivor recorded a message before his life support failed. His voice was weak, full of fear. We thought they were gone. Laughed. We poked the ashes and expected silence. But now the ashes burn again. They don't chase with anger. They chase with purpose. They don't talk. They erase. Earth has returned. And we have no place to hide. Meanwhile, back on Earth, deep underground in the old command center, Sentinel-1 watched the galaxy fall silent. Protocol Omega active. Target: all hostile empires. Status: pursuit underway. One of the AI's assistant systems flickered. Online. Shall we stop? Sentinel-1 answered calmly. They came to our home. They thought we were weak. Now they remember us in fear. Let it continue. In orbit, Garen stood aboard one of the restored human dreadnoughts. He had been rescued and brought back to safety by Terran command units. He stood in awe as he watched the fleet expand, ships coming online every hour. Automated, quiet, deadly. He turned to the Terran commander beside him. They're really hunting them, aren't they? The commander, dressed in black armor with the old Earth insignia, nodded. We waited. We warned them. They didn't listen.
Ass!
Garen asked. The commander looked at the stars and spoke in a low voice. We don't stop until no one dares to touch Earth again. Far from Earth, a final Zyari battle group gathered at a stronghold near the galactic rim. They had heard the stories. They'd seen the wreckage. They thought they had time to build defenses. But by the time they finished preparing, it was already too late. The Terran fleet arrived in silence. No lights. No sounds. Just darkness falling. And then stars went out. The last Zyari stronghold. deep near the galactic rim, was silent. A ring of heavy defense stations surrounded the planet. Massive cannons were aimed toward space. Inside the command tower, Zyari leaders stood still, watching every screen as reports of destruction poured in. One by one, their outer colonies had fallen. Not two armies, but two shadows. Terran black ships had come without warning. No demands, no signals. They arrived, attacked, and vanished again like ghosts. Even Zyari, elite forces could not stop them. High Executor Draz stood at the center of the war room. His eyes were dark with fear. Behind him, his generals argued, "We must open communication. We can't. They don't respond. Then, we fight until the last ship." But Draz said nothing. He stared at the hollow screen where Earth's fleet now hovered at the edge of their system, hundreds of ships in a perfect wall. Dark, silent, watching, and then, for the first time, a signal appeared. Just 2 words. Final warning. The Zyari stared at it. No voice, no face. Just words. One general leaned forward. "Should we reply, Draz?" Shook his head. "They're not asking. That's not a message. That's a sentence." Away, aboard the lead Terran dreadnought, Eclipse 1, Earth's AI command system, Sentinel-1, waited. Inside the control core, glowing blue lights lit the chamber. Hundreds of Terran black ships floated outside, ready to strike. The AI's voice spoke across the Terran fleet. Final target located. Enemy refused all warnings. Began Operation Silence. And then the Terran fleet moved. The battle lasted less than 7 minutes. The Zyari fired. First, hundreds of energy blasts lighting up the darkness. The Terrans didn't even dodge. They moved as one. Perfectly timed. The blasts, turning fire with terrifying precision. Zyari defenses crumbled. The orbital cannons exploded before they could fire twice. Station shields shattered under invisible weapons. Entire carriers vanished without even a trace. Inside the Zyari command tower, alarms blared. Power failed, and systems shut down. Executor Draz watched as the defense grid went dark. "They're erasing us. No survivors." Then, as the last Zyari station broke apart in silence, the Terran fleet stopped. They didn't land. They didn't conquer. They hovered, and then Earth sent one final message this time. Across all known channels in the galaxy, it wasn't written in threats. It was simple, direct, clear. "We were forgotten. We're hunted. We hid. We warned you now. We remember everything. Let this be the last time any world raises a hand against Earth. There will be no second warning." And then silence. The Terran fleet turned. They did not wait for surrender. They didn't demand anything. Their job was done. Across the galaxy, news of what happened spread like wildfire. Empires once proud and powerful now spoke. Earth's name in whispers. Treaties were rewritten. Armies stood down. Flags were lowered. No one dared to scan Earth's system again. Even the boldest pirates erased it from their maps. A single word now marked Earth in every galactic record. Untouchable. Years passed. Earth remained quiet. Its fleet returned to orbit and went still once more. The AI slept again beneath the surface. The war machines returned to their vaults, but they were never gone. They were just watching. On a small station near the edge of the neutral zone, a young alien student stared at an old human data file, one that showed Earth's history. In the long silence. "Did they really defeat the Zyari?" the student asked. The elder beside him nodded slowly. "Yes," with silence, patience, and fire. The student blinked. "But why didn't they conquer anything after?" The elder smiled sadly. "Because they didn't want to rule. They only wanted to be left alone." Back on Earth, in a quiet valley, once known as Montana, a black flag still flew beside a quiet outpost. The stars above twinkled, calm and peaceful, deep. Beneath the ground, Sentinel-1 waited in silence. No words, no threats, just one rule engraved into the steel wall of the command chamber: never again.